So again, welcome to everyone. Also welcome to the people that just joined us here. And we will start showing the results from the ARM Roadmap project now. I hope you can see my screen. And this is now the outcomes from the co-creation session, and we had 2 so far, and 1 will actually start on the 14th of November. So, 1 second, with everyone. So this is upcoming. So here I put in the ARM Roadmap objectives again, to connect new and existing networks on a community platform, which is our knowledge and community platform in this case, to create a bottom-up consensus about the future of research management and inform about existing training, networking, funding, and mobility opportunities, which was especially done through the ARM Roadmap survey, but also the mapping exercise, which will be shown later by our partners from NOVA and HEDVA. Also about clarifying the role and the potential for research managers and also their impact and their value to support the European research area and the R&I system. Now, here you can see our consortium, the partners that we have. So here you can see our partners, us, the coordinators, IARMA, ASTP, CrowdHelix, NOVA, HEDVA, and the Cyprus Institute, which are also talking later and showing the results. And then we also have associated partners, Una Europa and Janssen. As for the co-creation sessions that I mentioned, as you can see here, these are the 3 topics and the 3 co-creation sessions that we have. So the first one is understanding the landscape, national networks and associations. These were mainly taking place in the 40 country communities that we have on the Knowledge and Community platform, and was the first co-creation session in 2023 in October. And the second one was this year on the topic of who are research managers, skills and competences from March until April, which the results have been just published on our website. And the upcoming one will be our last co-creation session and will also include the thematic groups, which were already included in the second co-creation session. And we have 10 thematic communities, which are in addition to the national communities. So they're basically adding one more layer, which is the thematic level, not just the national level, as the national communities focus on the national level. So the third one is upcoming. I will also show you the QR code in a session in a second. And this is about the career development framework, and it will commence on the 14th of November, so in 2 days until the 19th of December. And we also have the full ARM roadmap timeline on our ARM website. So here are the outcomes from our co-creation sessions. So the first session, which I mentioned, was taking place in our 40 country communities, focusing on the national level. And here you can see the report that has been done. We received 36 consensus documents from 36 countries, and this report is basically summarizing what has been discussed, which was quite a lot. They have been discussing laws, existing national policies or laws on research management, and and also initiatives, formal, informal networks. And we have been identifying countries that have existing networks, formal ones or informal ones, and we have been identifying countries that maybe lack formal or informal networks. And this is the executive summary. So for instance, 28 countries mention the existence of national initiatives, formal or informal networks or associations out of these 36 countries that have submitted a consensus document. And you can find everything on the ARM Roadmap website. You can find all the 36 countries listed in alphabetic order, and also the report that has been done. Then the second co-creation session, the outcomes have just been published on the website. The topic was who are research managers, skills and competences. It took place from March until May this year. And this time we also had 4 thematic communities participating. So not only the national communities as it was during the first co-creation session. So we have received a total number of 32 consensus documents, 28 from countries, so from our country communities, and 4 from our thematic communities. And the report here again has been published, and it is basically summarizing this whole co-creation session and the discussions that are led by our roadmap ambassadors, which we have about 150 people now from 40 countries. And on the platform itself, we have about 2,400 people now registered. So this was taking place in the second co-creation session, and here you can see the executive summary. So 28 national communities and 4 thematic ones have been publishing a report. They were asked about the definition of research managers, how do you define yourself, and also skills and competences, and in a very broad spectrum. And you can find all of this on the ARM Roadmap website as well. Then, as I mentioned, we have an upcoming third co-creation session, which will be our last one on the Knowledge and Community platform. Here you can see the timeline. It will commence on November 14th until the 19th of December. And then ambassadors will work on a consensus document, which will then in turn into a report summarizing this co-creation session. And all of this will be published on our website. Again, there's the QR code. You can join the co-creation session via this QR code. There are no fees applicable, so everyone can sign up for free and join several groups as much as they want, where they have an expertise, and they can also join thematic groups and national communities. So there's no limit of joining the groups. And for more information, we have our website here, which is www.armroadmap.eu. Also the ARM Helix, which is also disseminating the outcomes from all the co-creation sessions and the project in general. We also have a LinkedIn page, which is also disseminating some information that we gathered through the co-creation session, through the survey. So also make sure to follow us on LinkedIn, as we're very active there, and also on the ARMA website, especially the ARM Roadmap, because this is where the co-creation sessions are happening. This is basically the knowledge and community platform. And this was basically the outcomes from our co-creation sessions. And I would then hand over to our partners. And later on, after everyone has presented, we have another Q&A session. So I would maybe give the floor to Virak first. To Hetva. She's here. If not, we can also start with Christina from Nova. You have the floor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let me share the screen. Can you confirm that you can see the screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes. Okay, so thank you for joining us. What I would like to present to you today is the main results from the mapping exercise. This mapping exercise is a part of the RM Roadmap project, and the aim was to map the different professional development opportunities targeted to research managers across Europe. Okay, actually, the mapping exercise has ended in July, and it took us a long time to do it. We have started it in April 2023, and as I mentioned, ended in July 2024 for a final deliverable presented to the European Commission in August. During this time, we started by developing our own desk research, searching for these different opportunities that are available online, but also invited you and many of you here in the session, such as the ambassadors, and also responsible for different types of training, mobility, networking, to provide us information in an online forum that we have developed for that. So this is just a picture of our online form with the different sections where we mapped these different categories of professional development opportunities: training, mobility, networking, funding opportunities. And as it was very clear that the research management networks, either formal or informal, were places where these opportunities existed and were developed, we also included on the mapping the list of also the RM networks across Europe. The idea was to map these opportunities that were targeted to research managers, that were available all over Europe and that were organized by all types of institutions. And this we mean by, for example, RM networks, as I mentioned before, but also research performing organizations, research funding organizations, private companies, and so forth. So all of these opportunities available to our community. The main objective was to somehow collect evidence, so understand what is there, to find trends and identify the gaps. And this is what I want to present you today. So either trends and gaps regarding geographical terms, RM professional areas, type of opportunity, for example. And here the idea is then to foster discussion among the community about how to address those needs and those gaps and what is missing and what should be proposed to overcome those gaps. And also another objective was to produce a one-stop catalog where all of this information will be available for the community to search for their own individual professional development. So you can see here, and I will say a few words about these different deliverables next. So you will see all of these analysis and a little bit more than what I will present today in our deliverable that it's available on the RM Roadmap website, the deliverable 2.2. And also for the catalog, you will have a PDF version and also an interactive dashboard that was developed in articulation with Cardeia. But I will go through them in a minute. So for the main results of our mapping exercise, we were able to map 335 professional development opportunities across these different categories. So you can see here then more than half of these opportunities fall under the category of training activity, but also follow-up. We have more than 100 research management networks, but also networking activities, mobility, and also funding schemes. We have mapped those across 39 countries in Europe. So in 39 countries in Europe, we have at least one of these opportunities for professional development. So as you can see, more in the type of training activities and very few opportunities regarding mobility particularly, and also few funding schemes where research managers are a target audience. If we look at the geographical scope, we have divided our analysis into these three categories, and I think it will be important to clarify them. So when an opportunity for professional development occur within a country, we categorize it as national. When there was more than one country, although the focus was in Europe, we categorize this opportunity as an European opportunity. When the focus go beyond Europe, for example, an opportunity targeting also research managers beyond European countries, such as the countries participating in Horizon Europe, we categorize that as an international scope of opportunity. So you can see that in all different categories, most of the opportunities are targeted at the national level. So 62% of those have a national scope. And in this national context, most of the institutions providing such opportunities are universities, research institutes, but also many are provided by the research management associations. If we look at these opportunities that target specific national RM communities, we can see then there are countries where more opportunities were mapped, and also at the opposite side, countries where a few opportunities were mapped. So you can see countries such as Germany, United Kingdom, Switzerland, Spain, Italy, as well as Portugal, with the highest number of opportunities. I put here Portugal at last because as we are a Portuguese institution, there is probably some bias in terms of the number of opportunities that we were able to map, because more or less we know them all and we were able to chase all of our colleagues to provide information on the mapping, but still we can see that there are a set of countries where research managers have at their display more opportunities, but not only in number, also in the diversity of these opportunities. So we are seeing that also in these countries, the community doesn't has only access to training, but also networking and also mobility or funding. So there is the increase or the higher number, but also the higher diversity of opportunities for these communities. At the opposite side, there are also geographical areas where within our mapping, we were not able to map as many opportunities. These are, for example, the Balkans and the Baltic states. And then there are some geographical areas where further investigation is needed to understand exactly. Either we were not able to map the opportunities there, so our vision is a little bit biased, or there are some discrepancies, such, for example, in Southern Europe, we have countries with many opportunities and others with very few ones. So this needs a little bit of an extra understanding or investigation. Another element that we looked at is the participation costs. So we see that most of the training opportunities are predominantly not free. For example, mobilities opportunities, these related to cost, the situation is a little bit more balanced, while in the networking opportunities, most of the opportunities are free for participation. And when we think about participation costs, of course, it has a wide range of costs, from a very small fee to a higher one. But it's important to think about the cost as a potential barrier, which could be important, especially in countries where these opportunities are already scarce. This could become an important barrier or something to address. One of the last points of analysis that I want to share with you today regards to the different opportunities for the different research management professional areas. So in brief, we saw that the opportunities available, they cover a lot of the areas that we work on, especially the post-award, the policy, the pre-award, innovation, impact. Most of them are covered by training, particularly, but also then regarding the different type of RM areas, such as, for example, policy, more networking opportunities are available. At the same time, there are areas where fewer opportunities exist, but still with a high number. We have in these areas with fewer opportunities, for example, the lab managers, the infrastructure, the research assessment. Maybe this is also related to the number of people that work in these areas, either if the areas are emergent or to a specific focus on this topic. Regarding the opportunities and their availability across our career stage, we have used the CARDIA framework, so RM1 to RM4, as we saw from the participation in the beginning of this session. And the main conclusion is that the majority of opportunities are available for research managers across all career stages. So in one hand, this broader spectrum of audiences has a positive take, in the sense that we participate in opportunities with colleagues from with different levels of experience, and this could provide a diverse view and diversity of experience in our learning as well. The negative point, or the point to think and to reflect, is in regards to the level of specialization. So they are as we saw on the thematic level, there are the opportunities cover usually more than one topic, so they are broad in this sense, but also in the sense of the career stage, they also have a broader approach to it. And there are some specific needs for specific target audiences in terms of career development, such as, for example, the colleagues that are more experienced, where as the needs for professional professional development are specific and are not, and we don't have a lot of opportunities in that sense. So if you look at the main conclusions of this mapping exercise, is that there is a demand for structural learning experience, and we have been that has been actively addressed throughout this variety of training and networking opportunities. There is nevertheless an underrepresentation of mobility opportunities for research managers, at the same time as there is also scarcity in funding opportunities targeting research managers. Well, it's also evident to us that research management networks play an important role in providing these opportunities, and their role is particularly relevant at the national level. So many countries have established their local or regional or national support structures that aim at skill development and community building, and which underscores the proactive nature of our community. This may reflect also our bottom-up response to limited career professional opportunities, where we kind of took action within ourselves to address it and to initiate these opportunities. Geographically, there is also variations in terms of ability of these opportunities, and there are these regions such as the Balkans and the Baltic states where we have mapped very few opportunities and may need to address that. Also, professional development opportunities target research managers across all career stages, and as I mentioned before, this broad approach could result in fewer tailored specific opportunities for some targeted research careers or levels of research careers. And this is particularly important for research managers that are already at the more experienced level. So, as I told you, this mapping has this double purpose, one about understanding the landscape and the other also to provide you a tool so that you can explore also and look for these opportunities for your own development. So at the RM Roadmap website, you can have access to these 3 documents. So one of them is about the dashboard, which has the terminology and explain how the mapping was done. On the other corner, you will find the RM Roadmap catalog, which has all of these more than 300 opportunities mapped. And if you want to have a more interactive exploration of this content, then you can explore the dashboard. So just a few pictures about what it's inside the catalog. So you'll have, as I told you, the terminology with the further explanation. You will have access to facts and figures with the main data as I explained you today, and per opportunity you will find a template similar to this one. For example, this has to do with a training opportunity with the title, institution, a short description, a website for more information about the targeted countries, the language, duration, format, if it is certified or not, free, the skills development, the RM areas. So each of these opportunities have a similar description like this, and also a link for further information. For a more interactive experience, then you can go to the dashboard. Again, this was done in collaboration with Cardea. You can you can click on each of these different schemes like funding, mobility, and so on. And then you can search for your for the type of opportunity that you are looking at. For example, looking at your career level, the area of RM that you work on, the country, if you are looking for a mobility, if you are looking for something that requires funding or not. So you can use this tool to further explanation. And also all the data can be downloaded there, and also it's available on Figshare. So my last slide is about inviting you to explore these tools and also look at the catalog. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina, and also thank you to the whole NOVA team. And yeah, let's maybe move on to Virak, to Hetva and the outcomes of the ARM Roadmap survey. And I would also like to remind everyone that we have a Q&A section. So while Virak is now presenting, you can already type your questions in the Q&A for the Q&A session right after the presentation. Thank you very much, Virak, for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Elina, for the floor. I hope you can hear me and you can also see the slides. So very quickly, I would like to present some of the results of the RM Roadmap survey. As you know, we are developing all this exercise within the work package 1. The survey is basically one of the tools that we are relying on to gather evidence, to gather data, and gather a better understanding of research managers across Europe, based on which we can develop recommendations. But of course, the survey was the most important mean to gather this amount of data, together that amount of understanding that can be a very solid basis for any further recommendation. So you see here, these are the main topics that we are dealing with within VP1, and the survey reflected most of them. This consisted of one half of the survey, the other half served inputs to feed VP2. What is also important, and what I also would like to emphasize, that we are not relying only on the survey, but we use the co-creation sessions also as an important tool to get a validation for all the results that we find, and to get additional explanations, to get additional shapes for the recommendations that we develop. So very briefly about the survey, as you might remember, basically it was launched a year ago, and it was finally closed in May this year. And actually what I can say that even there were huge efforts, and I would really like to say big thank you for all of you for disseminating, for completing it, for chasing colleagues to complete it. But based on this, based on the results, what we can see that we could gather more than 2,000 responses that could be entered into the database and that can be used for further research. And now everything is available. I mean, the database in an anonymized version, the codebook, and a few slideshows about all the results that we could retrieve through qualitative aspects are now openly available through Figshare. You can download the database and you can use it, you can play further, you can gather additional inputs for your argumentation, for your reports or whatever. So please use it, because it is worth to be used and valorized. So based on this, what I can also say that what we have seen in the last years when we were circulating several surveys, either through RAP or other projects and initiatives, we managed to gather the greatest number of responses from Europe. And thanks to all the previous surveys, we can also say that there is also already a possibility to see certain trends. And most of the trends actually tend to be positive. So there is a huge development, huge improvement towards the recognition of our profession. Of course, we are not there yet. We still have to work a lot. There is a lot of things to do, but the trends are positive. What I would also like to highlight, the kind of interesting aspect of the data that we managed to collect, is that it was very hard to see very clear correlations. So my colleagues and also I worked a lot to see whether we can say something based on the countries, the geographical regions, the years spent in RM, or either in the fields in which the different research managers are working, but it was really, really hard to see any really distinctive differences or correlations, which basically suggests that still, even if there are differences among the countries, among the national groups, of course, they are at different maturity levels, but the most important issues are almost the same. almost the same. What is good news that at European level we can be very focused, and we can be very efficient in setting up the priority list for the interventions. So first and foremost, who we are talking about when we are talking about research managers and who responded to our survey. This is where you see the ratio of the different countries, respondents from all over Europe. Specific, really special congratulations to Spain, the Spanish colleagues who managed to get the most number of responses. But even then, all the countries who had outstanding results, we really appreciate these efforts. We can also say that still some regions, especially the central and eastern part of Europe, were not overrepresented, so to say. But in each country, we managed to get more responses than in any previous survey. So still, again, there was an improvement. So just regarding the gender, no big improvement or no big changes. Basically, 74% of the respondents were female. And as regards the current educational background, what we have seen is just correlates with previous surveys. So almost half of them has doctoral degree, another half of them has master's degree. What if we check these educational levels according to the genders? Females tend to have rather master's degree, whereas males tend to have rather doctoral degrees, but the differences are not that huge, so to say, but this is what we could reflect upon. As regards the age of our respondents, basically the majority of them are between 35 and 54 years old. We had some under 25 or under 35 and some beyond these groups, but the majority is in this middle age group. And what we have also seen that basically we kind of get a very balanced RM experience, meaning that basically 2/3 of them had been in the field for more than 5 years, till 20 years, or even if we go beyond. So what we can say that there were some newcomers, basically 1/4 of them, but the rest are very experienced in the field. They are working there for several years. What if we check their educational area regarding the field they support? So these are some differences that once someone is graduating from one field that you can see on the left side, it is not sure at all that they are supporting the same field. So they are giving their support, their research management work in the same field. But it's interesting to see that, for instance, in the medicine or health sciences, it is rather probable that they have the same background, educational background, as the field that they are supported, whereas in other fields it is not that decisive. But again, these are not big differences again, but what we see is that these natural life sciences, medicine, and engineering tend to need more with this background. What about the expectations of these people, our respondents? What is very striking, I would say, is that they are really aspiring for promotion once they are in the field. And it's also very clear that they have all the skills, all the knowledge that they can be competitive in other fields. So if they don't get the promotion and the recognition, they can easily change to another institution. We do not necessarily see this if you just check back what I told you, that our respondents are in the field for more than 5 years at all. So it means that there is something that keeps them in, although there is a big chance at any time that they could leave the field. Just another positive trend with regards to the membership in research management related associations. What we see now is that basically 68% of these respondents were members of any kind of research management associations, either at European level, international level, or national level. And this is basically an extremely big improvement compared to our previous survey that we conducted in 2018, where we have shown that only 32% of the respondents were member of any kind of associations. So basically their number is more than doubled which is again a very positive tendency and also shows that there is a need for these associations, there is a need for professional development opportunities, there is a need for networking, knowledge exchange, and all the different types of capacity and upskilling activities. Where do these RMAs work who responded to our survey? What we have seen is that basically most of them are working in public institutions, but still we managed to reach out several who are working either in private, non-profit, private, or other types of institutions. And if you see on the left side, basically what we see is basically only less than 70% of them work at university, and the rest are in different organizations, including research funders or research institutions or private companies. So again, this also reflects that we could really reach out a nice group and diverse group of professionals. At which level they work, most of them at the central department or service, but some at faculty level or in other different types of departments or levels. And on the right side, what you see is that actually the organization where they are employed are really diverse. So again, it was a great success that we could call and reach out these very different RMAs with these institutional backgrounds. And what do they do actually? So what does RMA do? Why is it important? Because we were struggling a lot with the definition, so it was important to see that in which fields are they working. If you might remember, there were 14 options in the survey, and actually what we see is that most research managers do work on proposal development and project support. But research strategy is also important, research support delivery, and all the other fields. So in short, they work in a huge diversity of fields. And what we also see here is that basically almost half of them provide support in at least 2, 3, or even 4 different research management fields. So if they said that they provide support in project management and pre-award, but it can be even diverse. So what we see that these people not necessarily focused on one research management field, but they are involved in more, which means that they need more knowledge, they need more skills and competencies for that. And now, just referring back to the co-creation results, what you see here is that the national communities and also the thematic communities suggested that we should consider, when developing the definition, additional areas, research management areas, which were dealt by us as part of the previously mentioned fields. However, they argue that, for instance, financial management, legal advising should be separate ideas such as open science or collaboration with stakeholders and so on and so forth. So this is why it is very important to see these results coming from the field, coming from you directly. And these will be taken into considerations when we are developing our recommendations. Coming to the type of job and the type of contract that these people are having, what we see is that, especially compared to previous years, 70% of these professionals work only research management. So they don't have other roles like researcher or administrator or whatever. They only work in research management. And what is even more positive, what we see is that 70% of them has permanent contract, which is an extreme development compared to previous years. So it means that they are employed mainly not on projects, but from other institutional resources and so on and so forth. If you check it by country groups, there are some slight differences, but again, we cannot say anything more specific on this, but to note that there is an improvement on the contract type. We also asked about whether the extra hours worked is recognized or not. Here you see that in some cases it's not at all, in some cases it's recognized but not valued, not paid. So there is still a huge diversity, and what we also see that these people have to work quite often over time. So this is an issue that has to be solved. Here again, we try to see some correlation according to the different groups, country groups, but there are no big differences that I would highlight. Probably that in Western Europe, it is generally recognized, the extra time, and converted to days off, but still the majority is the same. And then when we are talking about these people or about you yourself, how would these research managers call themselves? So as you might remember, actually in the survey, we have quite some different terminologies, and the survey results suggest that still research manager and administrator is the most popular one, but it is very strongly followed by the research manager term. While research management and support professional is popular because of its inclusive nature. So here you see which are the most popular terms. I can also tell you that at European policy level, the research manager is a term that seems to be used and seems to be understood by policymakers, but what is also important that we ourselves and you yourselves are familiar with this. Again, I try to make some distinction among the country groups, which terminology is preferred by which country groups. There are some differences, and this also provides an explanation why we get the different results in the co-creation session. So it is interesting to see that, for instance, research enabler is more popular in Western Europe, while professionals on the interface of science is more popular in Southern Europe. Or what else should I mention? For instance, research advisor is very specific for Northern Europe. So these are the differences that we could grab on, but I wouldn't go into the details further. If we come back to the co-creation results, you see that these terminologies were basically checked with your national and thematic groups, and basically the same differences could have been tapped on. So research manager were at the first place, while also research manager and administrator were very popular. Support professional was also supported, so there is a huge diversity. What we could see is that research manager is mostly embraced one. And what is needed for the job very quickly. So there are top transversal skills that you see here. So problem solving, interpersonal skills, oral communication is outstanding. While there are some alterations, whether it is needed in the current position or needed for the promotion. Then there are soft skills, almost the same, which are needed in the current position or needed for promotion, but prioritization, time management, efficiency, reliability, strategic thinking are among these. And last but not least, the hard skills. It's always the same, so you have to be familiar with the whole institutional governance, research, innovation ecosystem, funding rules and regulations. And just to check back the co-creation results, what we see is basically based on your results is that apart from the fact that specialization and these kind of skills are important, but we also have to agree on a common pool of transversal and RM-related soft skills. So you can see all these details, of course, in my presentation, and if you go to the Figshare through all the slides that share there, and the database and the codebook. So this is it. Thank you very much for your attention, and I would like to also say special thanks to all my colleagues in HITFA who helped in the assessment of the survey.
Thank you very much, Virak, and also thank you to the whole HETFA team for this nice analysis. So now we have some time for Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, please put them in the Q&A section. We already have one comment, which I can read out loud from Christina, actually. It would be cool to make that analysis about the aspirations where you mentioned the expectation of getting into a leadership position, comparing the RM with a doctoral degree and the ones that don't have a PhD to better understand the last column on your table. I don't know if you want to react to this, Vera, or not. Okay. Otherwise, if anyone has any questions, please type them because I cannot see any questions so far. Okay, there's another comment. Interesting that ERA Action 17, which sponsors the two projects ARM Roadmap and Cardia, refers specifically to research and innovation management, which then was lost in the call. So the European Commission originally assumed the R&I is the space and not simply research management. There is one question or comment. I can read it out loud. From your analysis, it is evident that most of RMs stay in the role for a lot of time, more than 10 years. So there is not much space for promotion, even if you have the skills needed.
I believe the survey doesn't go into this detail about career progression, right? They are, or yes, Virak, I think they just mentioned staying in the profession, right? So it means that maybe within the profession they can go to different specific roles as well.
Okay, Virak, do you want to comment on that? No? Yeah, any more questions? Please put them in the Q&A section. So far, I cannot see any questions. Okay, if there are no questions, that was basically the content part of today's Third ARM Roadmap Ambassador meeting public session. And thank you for attending.